Okay, so I just got the question from my dear friend Irina. Do I like running? My answer is no, I don't like running, but I like the effects of running. I'm feeling a lot different when I run in the morning, more calm, more focused. I don't like the act of running, and if I'm not in the right mindset, then it's very boring. That's my answer to whether or not I like running. That was a nice little pause in this morning's run, but now it's time to get back to running. So see you in a bit. Okay, it's time for our daily sync meeting with the dev team. Това е доказателство, че в котката на Шродингер няма статус работа We're actually talking about this in the car before I started running this morning, that I think it's about time that we actually stop having this meeting, because as you can see, it's usually one or two people talking and everybody else listening. It's 8 people or 9 people in the meeting usually. Maybe at some point are going to be 20 people in that meeting. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense to have everybody for 10 to 15 minutes every day in a meeting where just 1 or 2 people are speaking. If they need to communicate something, they can always do it outside of the meeting. Also, everybody sends their daily report, so to speak, in a specific format. So they say what they've done yesterday, what they're about to do today, where they have any blockers. So technically all the communication has already been done before we even get to the meeting. But yeah, I have a little bit of running left to do to wrap up this morning run. And then we're gonna do a little bit of weights in the gym, and then we have to get this day going. So yeah, let's get to it. It is now time for this next part of the morning routine, which is a quick weight session. Asti. You're filming, but I'm warm. I actually really like how the doors turned out. These guys did a very good job. The doors are nice. I can definitely recommend working with this company. It takes a while for the doors to get here, but when they do, looks like it's been worth the wait. I'm gonna send a few photos to Neri. There's one more thing we can look at while we're here. First of all, I actually keep forgetting, I gotta call the guy that is gonna be putting the tiles here. So we had to meet with them again and ask them to do some more designs for us. So the first one is this corner. This is basically where you enter the apartment, you take off your shoes, you hang your coat, things like that. So this is here. And now we kind of molded it together with this piece, which is here, and looks like that. It's gonna look like it's one piece, basically, which I think is a nice way of arranging things here. You need to order the stuff for that wall. We need to order some stuff for the bathrooms. Everything else is gonna be stuff that we buy from a store, basically. So it's not gonna be custom order. Okay, that's it. We're gonna get going. It's super warm in here, so I don't wanna stay here any longer. It's funny when I remember the times when I was in the construction business. And I don't know how construction business is in other places in the world. So I'm talking about construction business in my country. Sometimes I miss a little bit the communication style that is normally used in this line of work. Because in the software business, because everybody is, let's say, less prone to dealing with some diversity. Like, for example, managers speaking more harshly, or I don't know, just things not being super smooth and nice and calm. And then all of a sudden, someone is feeling oppressed. There's too much pressure. They're about to burn out and things like that. In construction, it's a lot different than that. If you tell someone the things that people in software are complaining about, they really like laugh their asses off because it's not something that they're used to. And I keep telling the people that work in our company, the software developers specifically, that right now they're at the peak of the market. So everybody wants to be a programmer. Everybody's looking for programmers. Margins in the software industry are relatively high. So they're peak market right now. It's not always going to be like that. They need to think about the next phase when computer programmers are not going to be in such high demand. Where's my guy? I have a buddy here who cleans windows at the traffic light. I'm sure I saw him, but I don't know where he went. And we're kind of friends with him because he's been working here for, I don't know, since he was a kid, probably a little bit younger than me. But every time I pass, I just give him a bit of something. But obviously not this time. So now back to the topic of developers and the fact that I know a lot of people are trying to get into software development, but just think about, is now the best time to become a software developer? Because by the time you get the nice job and you get the big paycheck, it's probably going to take you, 10 years on average? So in 10 years, are we actually going to be using software developers the way we're using them now still? Or is software development going to be done in a completely different way? So just think about it and figure out if that's the best move. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad idea. I'm just saying that it's not always going to be like that. We already saw last year, because of the market situation, a lot of the big tech companies did some major layoffs. I think some companies were cutting up to 30% of their workforce in a matter of a few months. Now, in case you're wondering why they do that, because that's one of the easiest ways to increase your profit. And when you have to report earnings, because you want to keep your stock price high, one of the best ways to report better numbers is to cut your workforce. If it's such a massive event, like the one we had, it just echoes throughout the whole industry. And tech companies in the United States are cutting jobs, but this comes back to tech jobs in Bulgaria in the fact that a lot of people were cut from their jobs. Second of all, because there's more people on the market looking for a job, surprise, surprise, the average price to hire someone comes down. When there's more supply and the demand is more or less the same, of course the price needs to go down. It's basic economics. So just think about it. When I was a kid, which was, let's say 30 years ago, no one was even talking about programmers or software development. Like, this was not even a thing. It was just some geeky bullshit that nobody even cared about. So there was two things that you had to do if you wanted to get a nice salary. Number one, become a lawyer. Number two, become a doctor. That was it. Like, there was no other path to success and wealth and status. But now everybody's going to software development. Even people that have finished law school and have finished medical school, they're becoming developers. Why? Because that's the power of the market. Now, being good at any of those things is a very different conversation, but I'm talking things in general. That's why I think it's funny, because when I think about my previous employment, so to speak, in construction, and now my current employment in software development, I think now people working in construction in Bulgaria are making more money than the people working in software. Sure, it's not as prestigious. Sure, it's not nice. You get all dirty. It's physical. But if it's only the money that you're after, which at the end of the day, most people are, construction people in our country are making more money than software developers. It's not just in our country. I think it's the same in the United States. Like, on average, a construction worker or a construction contractor can make about 300K per year. The average salary for a software developer is not 300K, it's 150K in the United States per year. So a construction contractor is making twice as much than their fellow software developer. Just think about it. I'm not saying that you should get into construction or not get into software. I'm just saying that you gotta be aware of what's going on. But yeah, we're now arriving at a shopping center. I gotta buy a little gift for my niece. Today's her last day of school. When it's the last day of school, we have this family tradition. Get together, have a little dinner or lunch or something like that. I need to get her a gift. And it's now getting a little bit more difficult to get her gifts because she's now 12 years old and she's kind of slowly getting into teenage stuff, but she's still kind of a kid, so we'll see what I come up with. Yeah, but I still think most of this is she's too old for these things. Getting older now. Money bank, this sounds interesting. Could be kind of a message type of gift, but it's only for coins, so no. No, not this one. Oh, interesting. Her mother, actually my sister, and my niece, they gave me a similar one for my birthday. She would also like these, but I don't know what these logos mean. Which one is Gryffindor? Anyway, I still think the other one is a better choice. So I've been fasting for, what now, 14, 15 hours? So going through the food court, being fasted is not the best strategy, because obviously they make it very enticing for you to stop and grab a bite. And it smells nice, it's quick, it's kind of cheap also, so yeah. It's a nice color. I think it's something that she would enjoy for sure. So now let's see if they have the proper size, because we never checked this. Merci, ciao. Okay, good to go. Gift buying is done. I wanted to share a quick guide on buying gifts. And that's something that I've shared before on social media, so I know it's a topic that kind of is interesting. The way I buy gifts, which I think nicely relates to some of the other topics that we've been talking about, is I try to think about what the person that I'm buying the gift for, what would make them happy. So I don't just buy something generic. I don't just buy something that I like, or I don't buy something which is a nice thing to buy for that specific occasion. I try to find something which the person would actually like. So I try to get in their head, get into what they want to have, maybe they don't have, or they don't have enough of, and things like that. And if I can afford it, I get them this. In this case, I know that my niece is gonna be super happy about the gift that we got for her. I'm gonna try and record a little bit of that, her reaction to the gift later. But yeah, that was my quick gift buying guide. So if that's something that you're interested in, I have a lot of experience that I can share with you, how to buy a nice gift for someone. We're now finally headed to the office. I don't want to say what time it is, but it's past noon, and it's about time we get there. We had some changes in our schedule for the afternoon, so thankfully we have enough time to finish these tasks that were out of the office. Last few thoughts on the topic that we were talking about before. First of all, having a clear and easy way of communicating with the people that you work with is usually an undervalued asset. Surprisingly, in some industries, it's easier to talk to people than in others. I think it's because of all these tech companies that give them huge salaries, so many benefits and things like that. They try to make their lives as easy as possible so that they can focus on the development of software. But at the same time, as everything, it has also a negative, which is, unfortunately, a lot of people in the software industry are very spoiled, which means that they're kind of expecting this attitudes towards them. They feel probably a little bit more special than others. But what I say is that everybody just has to calm down a little bit and remember one thing, which is it's not always going to be like that. So just think about your future, think about what you need to do to stay on top of your game, because now you're top market, but maybe it's not always going to be like that. And while we're on the topic of talking about software development as a job, so many people ask me, how do I get into software development? Well, just get into software development. I usually don't understand the question. If you're talking about some tactical advice, just find a good course that you can take and finish and that's it. When I was starting, I had zero money, so I didn't have money to invest in a course. So what I did is I just listened to free courses online, and you'd be surprised, but the Stanford official courses on iOS development have always been available for free online. So basically, you can listen to the same stuff that the people that are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to Stanford, you can listen to the same stuff, do the same exercises, basically do everything that they do. Sure, you don't get the degree, but if you want to have the knowledge, you got it. And it's super easy. So it's not a matter of, oh, what do I do to start? It's a matter of just start. Figure out something and just start doing. Because I'm also guilty of that. I'm not saying that I'm some kind of prodigy or whatever, but so many of us get stuck in learning mode. Learning mode is something that you need for sure. You need to learn, you need to be aware of new stuff, new trends, new market developments and things like that, but you shouldn't get stuck in this learning mode, because best way to learn is to actually do. So until you start doing, there's no way to learn. So that's my top advice if you want to get into software development. Just get into software development. Start writing code. I don't know, watch a few YouTube videos. Go and find the Stanford courses on iOS development if mobile development is your thing. And just start doing. That's the only meaningful way that I know to actually learn something. Oh, that's it. I'm putting back my glasses on. Okay, the workday is over at 7 p.m. and I'm headed to my family get-together to celebrate the graduation of my niece. Now, as you saw before in the video, I got her a cute little present, and another thing I got was a nice big box of ice cream. So I'm hoping that she would like my surprises and she would be happy. I'm gonna try and record as much as I can, but things could get a little bit hectic when I get there, so we'll see how that goes. But just wanted to give you a quick update. Workday's over. I had some interesting meetings, internal. I have a very interesting insight to share with you guys, but I'm actually almost there at my parents' place. Catch you a little bit later. Peace. Beautiful people, how's it going?
Beautiful. Well, you made my day.
In general, we're doing great. Very good amount of projects which are interesting and fulfilling for everybody on the team.
We're now at the point where we have to scale things up again, and we are considering adding another developer, for example, to the team, increasing the capacity, but that will not solve the issues that we are having. So we're looking into a right solution. Yeah. And we will need to invest in the REST API, but that's the plan either way.
That's probably the one thing that you should invest in, for sure. I'm just saying this as a friend that I think there's no way around it. You're a software provider, so investing in making the software better is always going to be a great idea. All right, quick check-in. I'm doing a 1-hour run this morning. I didn't have a great sleep last night. My heart rate variability is not super nice, but gotta do the work, man. So I'm about halfway through, 35 minutes in. Actually feeling pretty good. It's not too warm yet, and even though I started running a little bit late at 9:30 or something like that. So yeah, see you when I'm done. Okay, so you saw the fact that I ran this morning again, but what I forgot to mention was that we had an interesting situation yesterday. So let's say it was about 5 p.m., 5:30. I was getting ready to wrap up. My fiance had this event organized at 6 p.m., so I was kind of planning to get there at around 6:30 maybe. So yeah, at about 5:30 I was getting ready to wrap up. But I decided to check the campaign that we were preparing for our client. The plan was to just check that everything is set up properly, everything is scheduled to go out on time, the links are working and everything else, as I do almost every time when we have a campaign running. And actually, almost every time when I have a campaign running, there is something wrong with it. I don't know why I was expecting it to be different this time. Maybe, I don't know. I was thinking that the guy setting up the campaigns is finally learned how to do them and things like that. But I guess there's still room for improvement. The emails were kind of okay. We had to change the links a little bit. But the big problem was that the campaign also includes a native display unit. And we can talk about that at another time in detail. But it's just a feed in a mobile app, sort of like an Instagram feed. This native display unit injects a different piece of content in different places in that feed. And the client wants to use that for promotional purposes in this case. Details aside, the guy setting up the campaign had actually set it up okay. So first it took me like 2.5 hours. Then I went out to visit my fiance's event. Then I had a little dinner, and then I came back to the office at around 10:30 p.m. or something like that. And then it took me another maybe 2.5 hours, so 5 hours total to find the issue, which was one little parameter in the setup of the display unit was with a capital letter instead of a small caps letter. And that was the whole problem, and that was the whole reason last night, instead of taking off at 6, going to my fiance's event at 6:30, then grabbing some dinner, going to bed early because today we have shooting day for content, I ended up going to bed at 3 a.m. To answer Irina's question, no, I have not rested yesterday, but regardless, we'll do our best to push through. Okay, we're now pulling up to the place where I go to get my haircut. It is long overdue. I feel like I'm looking like something between Tarzan and Wolverine. I normally try to cut my hair every like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Maybe it's now been a month. So my hair is too long and I have to cut it short. Yeah, you also get to meet my barber. He's a cool guy. Maybe we'll promote him a little bit in the video, but we'll see. It is now Sunday. We have a lot of things going on despite the fact that it's a Sunday, but thankfully we are doing this very important step. Okay, fresh cut, finally. I'm not sure how much you can see from my fresh cut, but hopefully you can. So, yeah, I think we should end this vlog right now. It's about time.